You can. Hi, Dr. Alvarez, LA. It's so wonderful to see you and welcome.
Thank you, Patty. It's always great to connect with you and chat with you.
I want to talk about the amazing work you're doing, about the work you're doing at Stanford, the string that ties it all together, the beautiful threads,
Yeah.
the sabbatical you're going on. I'd love to hear all about it and would love to see where you want to start the journey.
Well, thank you again. For the audience, I'm a practicing emergency medicine physician at Stanford. I also serve as the director of well-being for emergency medicine at Stanford, and for the past 4 years, I've been the director of the peer support program for physicians at Stanford. And recently, I became the director for the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education. There's many more roles in between and after that, but I think those are the big chunks that take a lot of my time right now.
Well, all of those big chunks, and I'm really happy that you shared them all in this way. They all care for people, and they all care for our heart and our soul. And that's one of the things I've always loved about you since we met. I'm not even sure how many years ago it's been now.
I can tell you,
Oh, when is it? When did we meet?
we met 2017, and the reason for that is because I wanted to quit Stanford,
Hmm.
and you were giving a talk at WellMD, which now is I'm a part of through the peer support program, and you were teaching me about well the class was about CliftonStrengths, Strengths Finder, and how I discovered how I'm an activator. I get people excited about things, and I reached out to you because I noticed a pattern in my life that me being an activator was too much for people, and I struggled fitting in. I struggled having a sense of belonging at Stanford. And you're one of those very few and first people that when I reached out to, instead of giving me more research or more things to read or acknowledging it and move on, um, you invited me for a cup of tea. And I still remember that day.
I remember we looked at your strengths. We looked at the strengths that were a little bit of a hurdle to you, and they were confident strengths. They were strong, confident strengths. And we share the activator together.
Yeah.
So I could absolutely relate to what you were experiencing. And I also believe you were a maximizer. Is that correct?
I don't remember that part. I think what stuck to my mind is that I'm an activator, and I have learned since how to really lean into that strength and also just understand people's reactions, because I could have the most well-meaning intentions, but unfortunately the impacts may not be similar for other people because of whatever they were experiencing in their lives. And also knowing this is now with the compassion work that we do at CCARE, knowing when to really lean into what I brought in versus just the acceptance that I can't control everything, that I can only really focus on how I deal with myself and how I navigate my own reactions and responses.
And that's beautiful. It seems that you have done a just a phenomenal job of crafting roles for yourself at Stanford where you get to do this incredible work. I mean,
Yeah,
WellMD and the work that they're doing, CCARE and the work that James Doty
yeah,
started. And
yeah,
of course, I have James's two books here, Into the Magic Shop and Mind Magic. You're following in some big footsteps with
yeah,
him, and
yeah,
yet you're reinventing some things along the way. And
yeah.
how beautiful is that for you?
Well, it's wonderful to be able to give back to a community that gave me so much. I mean, literally, I would not be here, like I said, if I didn't take your course because or your class because I really wanted to leave Stanford. And now to be able to give back to WellMD in the capacity of a peer supporter and give back to CCARE in the capacity of developing programs and making it sustainable so that in a couple of years when I'm no longer going to be leading that the center continues for the many more people like me who struggled fitting in or struggled finding their bearing and knowing some of their strengths, but didn't have the capacity to also maximize that, in your word, maximize that human potential. So it's been a wonderful time, but I will say that the pivots that I've gone through in my life are mostly because I think I'm a lot kinder to myself, or I've developed a practice of self-compassion where it's okay to pivot. I think pivoting is usually very hard for many people, including myself. It gets into identity, it gets into relevance, it gets into insecurity. And what I've learned is that whenever I push myself into new environments and new work, I get energized by that. I get excited about that. I'm more of a builder at the beginning. And also knowing that about myself, knowing my strengths is acceptance that there are a lot of flaws that I have, including I'm not the most minutia driven person. And so my team now, I have to make sure that there are people who actually will the do or the can do and the ones that will make it happen. And if I don't have them, I purposely seek them out because I think the um, the relationship of having both in a team is really powerful, and I've seen that in my career throughout, whether in clinical operations or in medical education to now my work in the well-being space.
And you do it so beautifully, to be able to juggle all these things, to be confident in your own strengths so that you can find others that can complement, is what I'm hearing.
The confidence, I think, comes just as because I keep on doing it, right? I still remember when we were teaching a course together, and I have to remind myself what the three parts of self-compassion was, because at that time it was more of a memorization versus now it's an embodiment. And so the confidence actually just comes in with the embodiment of what I'm doing. And people ask me, how do you do this? Like I think we chatted earlier about my Fulbright coming up in Brazil and how I'm budgeting my time, but they're not all integrated in the work that I do. It's compassion work, it's well-being work, it's really finding ways from a design thinking perspective in supporting other people. And if I can follow that thread throughout the different roles that I have, then it's not extra work, or at least it's not that much of an extra work because I can activate people, I can work with them in teams, build something. And I also realize I have a coach that has helped me uh, see through this, and what we've been working on over the past year, especially, is the idea of me being tactical, being in the weeds. I think because of my insecurity that I'm not as good with follow through, so I lean into that more. And instead, I utilize more energy unnecessarily because that's not really my strength. Versus from a strategic overview vision, I can be a lot more effective. And so it's fascinating that I get to really test that out in my role as director of CCARE. Because I get to try out different leadership styles that that I've learned over the years, including trying to be the leader that I wish I had all those years that I've navigated transitions. I'm grateful for the many leaders that allowed me to pivot from one role to another. For people who kind of guided me and had a vision that's they believed in me as a person and my strengths and less about my capacity then. Um, and that potential that I had. And so it's been a wonderful journey for sure. And I get to give back now. I get to really create those containers for other people. And it's been more rewarding because I get to see other people alongside me, and also those who were following me, and also people who may not yet recognize all the work that we're doing, and then they hear about it, and to be reminded. Like I had a resident the other night tell me, I was like, "Hey, LA, I think you'd really love this amazing and awesome work that we do in residency." And I smiled and I was like, I brought that to this residency program 4 years ago, and I can even tell you the history. And so now I get to be part of those kind of conversations. That it's less about me doing the work; it's just the enduring work, because it makes a positive impact and people resonate with it. And that I think is just more fun for me to watch.
Now I see you light up about it. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Essentially, it sounds like you're really providing opportunities for human beings to flourish, to
Yeah.
help them be the best that they can be. And especially in the grueling environment that is Stanford, and especially emergency medicine that is so unpredictable. What are the things that you do to keep yourself regulated, to keep yourself showing up your best?
Yeah, I meditate every day. I learned that from Mariam Makowski, a common dear friend of ours, a mutual dear friend of ours, who once told me that there was a study among surgeons that if they meditate for 14, I think 12 to 14 minutes a day, for 2 weeks, they'll develop a good practice. And I told her that I'm an emergency medicine physician, and so I have a very short attention span, so I'll do it for 5 minutes. And I've been meditating for several thousands of consecutive days since. And so that's helpful. But really, it's the rewiring of the brain that happens when we meditate that I'm more attuned to my emotions. I'm more attuned to my needs. Right before we started this recording, I realized that um, um, I'm switching. I'm a nocturnist. I only work overnights, and so in the morning time, like my allergies just kick in, and so we were talking, and then my sniffles started acting up, and I'm like, I need like hot water, like a tea. And so um, to be able to respect our conversation and also say, hey, do you mind if I just like turn on my kettle so I can have some tea when we're talking? I wouldn't I wouldn't have done that before. And then throughout our conversation, I'll be perseverating on the fact that like my sniffles and it's being recorded, versus now I can be me and not have to worry about um, the insecurities of that. And so I can be a lot more present with you. I will say, I think it's important to just highlight and to honor Jim Doty for his work at CCARE, for his contribution at CCARE, and also just to acknowledge the work that CCARE has. So CCARE was developed with the personal support from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In fact, it was the largest personal donation that His Holiness gave at that time to help develop CCARE. And with CCARE, we developed this compassion cultivation training, which heavily focuses on the idea of being kind to ourselves in order for us to have that transcendence of being kind to other people. So it has to start with us and being kind to ourselves. And my way of bringing this into this conversation is that 4 years ago, I finally was eligible to do a sabbatical at Stanford. And I remember that moment. We were actually at Theravada together, and I was telling everybody, this is just the me that like I'm doing the sabbatical in Dharamshala. I have no idea what I'm going to do there. My hope is eventually I'll run into His Holiness. But if other people have any ideas, like I welcome it. And so the Ann Cohen of that event was like, "Oh, I've been to Dharamshala. You're gonna love it." And so she connected me with several people. But long story short was that during that time, I got to see His Holiness, I believe 4 times, and one of that was like to receive a blessing. And as I was in line to meet him, the person next to me was an emerg not she was a family medicine physician, at least 10 years junior to me. And she was describing that she was so burnt out that she no longer practices medicine. And at that time, I knew, based on my work in peer support, that's a very common thing here, especially in the United States, In fact, emergency medicine has the highest burnout in all of the specialty in medicine, and which is why I've been interested in this work, because I think it has a significant impact to patients and our colleagues. And also, I caused a lot of those burnouts. When I was in my previous world, I was the assistant medical director on making things better, faster, and more efficient as a assistant medical director. But when I was in line, shortly after, I met up with Yangten Rinpoche, which is a High Lama that you'll see his photos, you'll see him like following His Holiness. And I asked him, the theme of my sabbatical was to ask as many monks as I can, how do you preserve yourself? Similar to the question that you just asked me, actually. I'm getting goosebumps. Dominic Chiaro would call that the energy of truth. And so I asked him, how do you make sure that you are whole? And how do you prevent yourself from burning out? And I've heard many versions of the answer to that. You have to uh, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't. So there's just many iterations of this, including Yantan Rinpoche telling me that like my iPhone, which is it's a smartphone, but without battery, it's a piece of junk. It's just a piece of metal that is useless and needs to be recharged all the time. But one thing that he shared with me has really stuck with me in this work, and I remind myself that whenever I struggle, and that's the acknowledgement that he said, and this is, I don't know what kind of like um, mind melds we were doing that he connected with me, but he said, "You think you're special," and I was like, I thought like Rinpoche is supposed to be nice, but he called it out just like it is. He's like, "You think doctors are special." And then he says, if you look around, the whole world is burning out. So it's not just doctors who are burning out. He said, if you want to be a banker, if you want to be a teacher, be that. And then he said, but whatever you do, just make sure you find ways to reach your maximal human potential.
Mm.
And so that's what I do. I'm doing the Fulbright in order for me to maximize my human potential because I've learned a lot, including a lot from my mistakes over the years on how to develop wellness initiatives. I get to help develop a peer support program. I get to develop like compassion training that would benefit other communities that may not have access to the work that we do here at Stanford. That to me is allowing myself to maximize my human potential. Of note, I clearly Yangten Rinpoche did not know me from Jack or anybody else that he met, but he didn't know that I ran the human potential team at Stanford, and so the synchronicity of even the words that were just being used meant a lot to me because also during that sabbatical, I the theme that kept on recurring was that I was exactly where I needed to be. And so bringing that back to Jim was the connection that I needed to introduce me to folks at the Dalai Lama temple that led me to get that blessing from His Holiness. So full circle, I get to now go back there. I've been going back every year as I co-lead a conference on mindful medicine. And I've had the opportunity and honor to meet with His Holiness every year since. So yeah, I think the energy that you bring to put out there, so long as I'm clear that I'm trying to maximize my human potential, it just comes back as positive blessing for me.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love the work that you do and that you continue to do and that you are caring for yourself. As we're talking about energy, I'm thinking more and more about it in terms of how we show up, how other people show up in an emergency room situation. And I've never really thought through this before, but essentially every person walking through those doors are in a dysregulated state of worry.
Yeah.
And you could say the same for the cancer center. You could say the same for really, except for well visits for a child. You know, we're working with a whole system of people who are in fear.
Yeah.
And unless we can understand that and regulate ourselves instead of getting triggered by their fear, if we don't know it, we're not watching for it. once
Yeah.
we understand that we can easily get pulled into their fear,
Yeah.
that could be an element that goes to the burnout, because then all of a sudden we're dysregulated for the next patient and the next patient. And yet I'm not sure how often that is talked about in the well-being circles, that the person we're confronted with every possibly 20 minutes is dysregulated, and we may not even understand how it impacts us.
Mm, yeah. So I think that I one thing that is helpful for me to understand when I go to work is that I don't have to burn myself out to be able to take care of other people. In order for me to have space for them, I need to be able to be whole myself. And it's not a selfish thing. It's really just the acceptance that I'm at my best when I'm able to really practice to the peak of my performance. And the peak of my performance requires I need to sleep, I need to eat, I need to take care of all the basic things, including when I'm feeling, in your words, dysregulated. I have to ask myself, what is it about this that is triggering for me, right? It may be because it's reminding me of my grandfather who just passed away, and now I see him in that in that patience, or it may be that it reminded me of another person, or simply because it's a shared common condition that they're suffering, and how might I be able to alleviate that without also taking a lot of that in. One of the first class course that I've taken through CCARE was with Monica Warline and Cecil Pierre, and I'm really grateful for their work. And it's a little bit more bougie. We were in Paso Robles, and we spent a week in there. Jim drove down, and we had dinner. And it was a small group. I think there was only like 10 or 11 of us. Um, but I remember how the juxtaposition of how wonderful that container was. I think it was a 3-day event. Again, like luxurious. To when I came back to my work, I saw suffering everywhere. And I remember reaching out to Monica. I was like, I don't know what you guys did, but I feel like I'm broken. Now I see suffering everywhere. And I the beauty of my work now is you taught me a lot about gratitude. And so then I had a meeting with Monica, Dr. Warline, a couple of weeks ago, and I reminded her of that. And I also reminded her that she reminded me, it's like, that's great. That's the first steps for compassion work. You don't have to be stuck in it. The next part is actually to lean in, to find ways to move towards action. And the action does not need for you to do something physical. You can just wish them well. And and in this conversation, I think what's also important is that when I am suffering, when I'm feeling triggered, when I'm feeling dysregulated, I need to also notice that. And I also need to lean into myself and wish myself well and ask myself, what do I need in that moment? Because anybody in that situation um, could easily go through what I'm going through as well. So that common humanity, that I'm not alone in it. And and so that for me, I think has opened up a lot more possibilities, because then I don't move away from suffering. I tend to, whenever they're suffering, it's something that I can honestly, authentically lean into, knowing that I'm not there to fix them. I'm not a savior. I'm really just there to understand, like, and also just wish them well.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I believe that James would have been honored to see the work that you're doing, to continue it, to be part of it. I remember his laugh. I remember his big personality. And um, you're taking it in a beautiful direction and being there for your caregivers, for the hospital, for the
Yeah.
university, because I do believe we can all benefit from the work that you're doing, from you being and understanding your regulated state, showing up your best. And that's the beautiful work of human flourishing. And I really appreciate all that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I think it's also just as important to highlight that it also means that I fail a lot. In fact, I probably fail a lot more than many people because I'm more aware of the failures. Because again, the problem with the shadow of self-awareness is you are really aware of the things, the good and the bad, right? But it's the not over-identifying to these failures and seeing it more as like, well, that did not work out, or that. So I get to laugh. Like one of the other things that we've worked on in the past is playfulness and curiosity and creativity, and that actually in this work that I've done with Sarah Dean and others, I I got to really understand that my core values include creativity and playfulness. And so I get to see my failures as that. Not always, right? Like there are times that I cry, like I get really angry, I get really upset. But again, those are shared common conditions. And the self-awareness of that is I get to check in with myself. Um, what do you need right now? Why are you angry? It's because I care, right? Like so not I would not take away anger. I think we moved. I remember this because we've done this work and we've had like back and forths about this, about positive psychology and how much like that has brightened my life. And at the same time now with compassion work, it's not to push away the not positive psychology, it's to understand it more, befriending myself. And
Mhm.
so I had a dinner last night he asked me, how do you like what's one or two things that you can tell me to improve my life in order to be more compassionate? And I thought about it, and I'll share it here because it actually I haven't really articulated it in that way before. It's that I think that we see ourselves right now as perhaps I need to do something to fix me, that I'm broken, that I need something to be better, versus I personally see myself as just a friend who's bumbling around, who's not perfect. And so when I fall, when I trip, I ask myself, like, what do I need right now? And that I think is a much healthier relationship with myself because I can make trade-offs. I'm gonna skip this dinner so I can do this work because it has a deadline, and knowing that like, hey buddy, it's more like, hey buddy, let's get this together, like so we can celebrate. So I treat myself with a reward because I'm as competitive as other people, but it's less about fixing myself. I'm not broken. Levia Ajayi has this wonderful quote in her book, The Professional Troublemaker. I'm not the best. Surely I'm not the best. Like you've known me, like Stanford rejected me twice. And so I'm not the best. Um, I don't have to be. I am enough.
You are enough. You are beautifully, perfectly enough. And I love that. And I've recently embraced a couple of things. One is, especially when I make mistakes, and sometimes when I do like artistic stuff, I will add a little something off because it's perfectly imperfect. And I
Yeah,
actually, like, not in medicine, I get that it can't be
yeah.
perfectly imperfect in medicine. So it's a different, if it's a different
But
place.
it is though.
And I also say, and I've been rewiring my brain without even realizing, and I acknowledged it the other day because it's so powerful for me, is I will simply, when I get tired at the end of the day or when I'm doing something, I will simply say, what would my future me be
Yeah,
grateful for?
yeah,
And it always gets me to do one more thing that will make tomorrow easier. What would
yeah,
my future me appreciate right now? And I've been rewiring my brain to look for that because then I look for those little things that, like, I'll set up my coffee mug, my Good Morning Beautiful coffee mug onto the
yeah,
coffee pot, at night. So in the morning, it's just set and ready for me. I don't have to bumble for anything. And I continue to say that throughout the day. What would the future me wish for? And the other day
yeah,
I said no to something I've never said no to because I just needed a little more calm in my day
yeah,
instead of chaos.
yeah,
And it feels really nice to take care of myself in a way that and this is a question for you, I think, is self-care always seemed to be a hard sell.
yeah,
And yet what I'm learning or feeling into is that when we shift it from self-care and we have to take care of ourselves to how do I want to show up every day? And what is it going to take for me to show up every day? then it becomes a recipe for success and flourishing instead of a self-care checklist.
Yeah, I think it's right on. It's the checklist, right? Even the making sure that I have my, I mean, I learned today, what would my future me benefits tomorrow, so I can have the pot ready. And but you know, like again, like I have the pot ready, I just needed to press a button, and I forgot to do that because I was so excited to meet you. And and also, I think that in that self-care checklist, it again, it becomes more of I need to remember this. And it becomes a tension that it's either my self-care versus my work in the community or my work as a doctor, my work as a friend. So it's always like this or that instead of the duality of I can and still. I can be here, have conversation with you, and still have my nice coffee or nice tea to warm myself up today. I can work really hard in the emergency department and still find time to have a break, to go to the bathroom, like any human being that's it's just part of their life. But in believe it or not, we've surveyed residents across the country, and one of the things that we learned was that break-taking behavior is just not easy for doctors because physicians have the lowest self-compassion compared to any other workforce in the country, right? We also deal with a lot of imposter phenomenon. So I feel like I don't even belong here, and therefore I need to be tougher on myself. And so if you can think of that, like having the lowest self-compassion and have the highest imposterism, self-care means a lot more selfish actions that is counter what we signed up to do. But now I don't see self-care as simply a checklist to take care of myself. I need to be able to take care of myself in order for me to be better at doing my work in the everyday life. And so then again, it's more of befriending myself and just checking in, or not even checking in most of the time. It's just my responsibility, just like it's my responsibility to take care of my patients when they're dying in front of me. My responsibility is also to take care of myself. So it's not about luxury. I still do that. I still take care of myself. I go to massages and catch up on my TV shows. And it's also just leaning into actually the things that give me joy and being able to say no to things that are just going to drain my energy. And I mean, that's how I'm able to do all the many things that I do now, right? Like people ask me, how do you fit this in your calendar? Do you sleep? I was like, I sleep very well. And it's because I get to say no to many more things now because of alignments. I'm able to really just focus on the work that I do that give me joy. And the ones that don't, I get to ask myself, do I really need this? If I need it for my job, I'll suck it up, I'll do it. Uh, but most of the things that we do every day should not be, I'll just suck it up and do it. I am so excited to get to do this. I was looking forward to meeting you, right? Like I get to do the things that are highly aligned in my life, including the trade-offs of that's why we chatted earlier. It's like, hey, by the way, I have another, I can expand this beyond 9 o'clock because the meeting after that I should be going to right now, like the trade-off is not the same. Like I can give an opinion there and maybe it'll work, maybe it's not, but like this is more important for me. This is like connection and belonging that we've cultivated for several years now. That to me, I think, is being kind to myself. That's not self-care. That is the embodiment of self-compassion.
That is beautiful. And so I have a question
Yeah.
that I'd love to hear from you because I think this may be at the crux of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Something, I mean, there was a time when you were a physician or a resident and you didn't feel like you could take a bathroom break. You didn't feel that you could do some of these things.
It still
It is
happens,
a
by the way.
belief. Well, but there's a belief in there. And so
Yeah.
how do we help others shift their belief from I can't do this right now to and not to a checklist, but to, in order for me to be my best, in order for me to be the best physician and to not get burned out, this is what needs to happen. That
Yeah.
we shift to a I love the responsibility piece, right? This is my responsibility to show up my best every day. This isn't about whether I should or could do this one thing. It's a shift in the mindset. It's a shift in the belief of your value,
Yeah,
and it allows you to stay regulated and healthy for what seems like a long period of time, because you said earlier that you're starting to I think you said, notice your body more, notice when your body needs something,
yeah,
honor that, befriend that. How do we allow people to do that again for
yeah.
themselves?
So the compassion cultivation training that was developed at Stanford focuses on cultivating compassion. And one of the first steps that really it focuses on is to just be reminded of what it feels like to be loved. Because I think we forget that. We give and we give and we give, especially for the healthcare workers, right? As a physician, it is part of the expectation that I take care of patients. So we take care of other people. But you know what? Like again, Yangten Rinpoche, you think you're special. We're not that special because many people have caregiving responsibilities. It could be your parents, it could be your kids. And we give and we give and we give. But the compassion cultivation training reminds you, like you literally meditate for 2 weeks on what it feels like to be loved. And when you do that, it's a lot easier to then swap what it feels like to be loved by your favorite person to what it feels like to be loved by yourself. And so it's not to help other people, to help themselves. The compassion cultivation training is actually just as a reminder that you deserve the same love and compassion you easily give others. And in so doing, and in so receiving that, then you can also give it to others more because you have a lot more capacity to to be there for people, as opposed to, again, I'm too tired, I'm hungry, I need my cup of warm water. Like all of those things that are needs, whether it's really truly needs or it's just our way of, I need to feel love and compassion. And so I think we have to switch the the mindset from I need to help other people see that they can do better to flourish versus I want them to experience love and compassion in order for them to embody that themselves and giving them the right tools to do that. I think that is a reframe for me of the intention that we have at CCARE, because it's easy for people to go to some wellness retreats to take care of themselves, and I'm doing this for myself. But then what happens when you leave? I mean, that's what happened to me when I left that first compassion training in Paso Robles, right? Versus now, it was actually more about feeling that warmth of receiving love and compassion. I mean, I can tell you this, and I think this will resonate. You have been a competitive sports person. And whenever you won, people will be like, good job, like great job doing this. And most of us, like you, probably be like, yeah, that was just part of my thing, right? We don't actually, so people think that self-compassion is when we struggle, when we suffer, when we make mistakes. Self-compassion can also be about celebrating. When was the last time you actually treated yourself to a nice meal because you just wanted this nice meal because you deserve it? Not to like say that I earned it because I worked really hard. No, I deserve the same like glorious, wonderful experience that I would easily give to my friends, right? And when was the last time when you did that, that you actually truly mindfully enjoyed each and savored the flavors, right? Because it becomes a checklist for many of us. I do this a lot. I travel a lot for fun. And so when I go from one place to another, it's like, oh, we should go to this one. And it's a never ending wonderful thing. So self-care can become also like this never ending rat race of like, oh, and I need to experience this, and I need to do that, versus just being, just letting it be, and just experiencing the beauty around you. That I think is true compassion work.
It's beautiful compassion work. I do want to add as we wrap up, that this summer I had a beautiful conversation with a 92-year-old, my English teacher from high
Yeah,
school. And she just such a role model. She's still living in her home. Um, and she was struggling and is struggling because her children all are so busy they don't have time for her.
yeah,
And that's certainly, where
yeah,
she's at. They live far away from town. But my question to her, or maybe more of a statement, is because I've lived this. She and I, probably from similar backgrounds, we instilled an idea of success in our children
yeah,
to continue to move, to continue to grow, to never give up, to even for me, as you talked about a track meet, I'd win the nationals, but we got to start training for next year, the next
yeah,
day. Like it was never enough. And
yeah,
so when is enough? And there will never be enough until we understand what we want to feel in our life. What
yeah,
do we want? How do we want to feel when we wake up in the morning? How do we want to go to bed when we go to bed at night? The work you're doing, and I, feel confident in this. It's not about collecting more things. It's not about buying a bigger house. It's not, I've never said
yeah,
it like that. It's about making connections. It's about raising our
yeah,
energy. It's about finding
yeah,
other people who want to bring your vision to completion. Your
yeah,
success is is the way I see success. It's not about the money. It's not about the fame. It's
yeah,
not about the door prizes. It's about
yeah,
how I want to wake up and feel every day.
yeah,
I sense that you found that for yourself, that you're finding it for
yeah,
yourself in this journey that we call a beautiful life.
yeah. Well, I think, thank you, thank you. Um, I I'll answer in two different ways. The first one I think is I find a lot more alignment in my work. And so it's less about getting more titles. In fact, I'm getting rid of my titles because I want to focus on things that now has evolved into the next big thing that I wanted to really have an impact, right? Versus the keeping the lights on. I'm the worst with keeping the lights on. You've known it about me. You've known me enough that I've pivoted to many parts in my career because I am really the big activator who gets things going. And once I'm not activating anymore to change things, then other people should love being in that space. That's just not for me. And so you're right in the sense that I don't crave more titles. I used to, and I'm not. I would be inauthentic if I say I'm not happy with it. I do find um, reassurance or validation for the work that I've gone through because now I get to do more things. But it's more because I get to do more things that are aligned with my work and less about more titles and responsibility. I mean, like every title that I have has a lot more responsibility than I would want. And so the key is to then really leaning into here's what I'm good at. I'm going to focus on this, and the ones that I'm not good at, I explicitly tell people that. So when I was hired as a well-being director, I told my chair I need a coach because like I'm a bulldozer. I get things out immediately and I will be very successful in getting it, but people will hate me. And I've learned that because I've made mistakes in my previous roles. And so she invested in me in that. When Tate Shanafelt asked me about being the director of peer support, Sherilyn and Tate, they brought it up. They're like, how is this going to work with your schedule? It's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, you travel, you love traveling. Like, so I didn't have to hide that I go on vacation every 6 months because that is just how I live my life since intern year. And that is very special and important for me. So to belonging means for me that I don't have to hide aspects of me that I care so much about that other people will actually just accept that. And so in my work as a peer supporter, I get to do it anywhere because now it's all virtual. And also I can be a lot more effective that way. But imagine a world where when I would have been so intimidated by that question, and then I was like, well, I'll just cut back on my traveling. I know that that would have been inauthentic, and I know that I would hate that compromise. So I don't compromise the things that are non-negotiables for me. And the other side of that, and I think it's the hardest one, is now I know what it feels like to have compassion and to really cultivate that. I'm very close to my mom. And she's also very tough on herself. And so they are, and she'll tell you this. I have been on road trips with her when I would just play on like audiobooks on compassion so that she can like learn something. I'm forcing her to learn it. So hopefully she'll be kinder to herself. But again, it's hypocritical because then that's not how she would want to learn. And so now I just focus on what I shared with you, which is I need her to experience the love and compassion that she freely gave to me, all the suffering that she went through, all the tears that she sheds because of me. I get to just give her unconditional love now. And so what that translated is we now see each other a lot more times than we did before, not because it's a requirement, but because it feels good and that we want to feel good. And we honor the fact that by us seeing each other more, we can build more memories that um, I was worried I was going to regret. I remember this meeting with her, I think 2021 in Denver, because I was giving a talk and she wanted to visit me. So she stayed with me at the hotel and at that moment I knew something was up with her, and it turns out that she was retiring, and she wanted to in some ways ask permission that she didn't really need, but it in her mind, because she cared so much about me, and it's always again caring for others, she asked like what would it look like when she retires. And I said, if we are seeing each other like this once a year for a dinner, that probably means that I only have 20 more dinners left with you until um, you either get sick or get old or whatever. And of course she cried, and but I knew I needed her to really understand that because she means a lot to me. And so since then, she spends at least a month with me here, not planning anything. She literally will like bum around in the couch, kind of like what I did when I was a kid. And when we see each other, because I still have my clinical work and all the other work that I do, she's like, "Hey, do you want to grab dinner?" And so now it's more again like befriending my mom versus either taking care of her or expecting her to tell me. It's just a different relationship. She's just another human being that deserves love and compassion. That just happens to be my mom. And I get to have much more wonderful memories because of that versus the guilt that I was carrying of like, I need to give back. I need to make her feel all the wonderful things that I get to experience now. No, I she's literally just part of my life now that's that is a lot more special.
Oh, I love it that we can unconditionally love others and help them unconditionally love themselves. Could that be any more beautiful?
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. I've gone through similar things, but less, positive in that, there have been certain times when I really want, like you said, I want someone to experience the bright side, the silver
yeah,
lining. I want so much. And I am learning that we're all on a journey. None of us want to be told what to do.
yeah,
And that's my learning is that
yeah,
it's time for me to just continue to learn for myself, have beautiful conversations where I can, but none of us want to be told what to do.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I hear a lot when I'm in Dharamshala, which is the blessing of may wisdom and compassion guide us. It's always connecting both wisdom and compassion. If you have too much compassion and no wisdom, then you're just going to bumble around trying to do like good things to others that may not actually help them, like forcing them to be nice to themselves. But wisdom, if all the wisdom without compassion can also be just brutal, right? Like I forced my mom to listen to like podcasts, like the Brene Browns that we listen to on our road trips, right? Because I knew the wisdom is there, but like it was not kind. And so is there a world where I can be kind and also apply the wisdom that I've accumulated over the years? And that's where I'm hoping um to live my life more now. It's not perfect again. It's bumbling around. And that is the wisdom that I continue to accumulate. But it's just a lot easier, I think. It's less work, it's less effort. And I also just see the benefits a lot faster because I see it in people. I feel that they're able to share that. And also, if not, then I don't take it personally. It was never about me, it's about them. And so, um, yeah,
like Maya Angelou says, it's about how we make them feel. And I love the work you do. I love reconnecting with you. I hope this will not be the last conversation that we record as we both are on these beautiful journeys. I feel that they're very much in parallel and just beautiful. And I want to thank you so much for being part of this conversation today.
Oh, thank you again. I hope you know that you in the many things that I do, I can easily connect them with you as one of the uh, earlier teachers that guided me and was just you gave me love and compassion
Mm.
earlier on, and you made me feel that when I was so lost at Stanford. And so I'm grateful to be in a position where I can do that for other people. And also, I'm grateful to be in a position where I can also set boundaries. That's we don't always have to give our all for others without making sure that we're also whole.
Mm. Thank you. And thank you for showing up for all of us in such a beautiful way. I really appreciate you.
That's a fun, beautiful life as you describe it. Thanks, Patty.
Thank you.